Okay, hi. This is some story time on how I used this work on myself when I thought I completely flubbed a meeting that I thought was a really big deal last week. And this is how I used the work to help myself recover and stop spinning out like I was and stop from staying in self-punishment mode like I used to. So I had met this person a couple weeks before at a pretty fancy event, a nice event, and we had really hit it off. And we had a great conversation, and I was in the zone, and it was awesome. And we arranged that we were going to meet again. And in my mind, this became a really big opportunity to take my business somewhere new. I just put way too much pressure on it. I decided that it was like a really big meeting, a big deal, and that I was going to nail it. And I wanted to keep the magical energy that had happened. I wanted to replicate it in this simple, what was ultimately a pretty simple meeting, what was ultimately really more of a get to know you meeting. So I put the whole thing on a pedestal. I put this person on a pedestal. I even put myself on a weird pedestal. And I went in there as a self-made underdog, and I knew it. And I also knew that I could literally do the thing I teach for God's sake and stop and adjust the energy and ground and completely actually be present in this next thing instead of trying to replicate and one up what had already happened. But did I do that? No, no. I just went in emotionally winging it, even though I could have completely helped myself. It's fascinating to me the drive we have to just avoid doing the thing we know will work. Anyway, so I get to the meeting and I hated how I felt. Even though this person was totally kind and present, there was nothing wrong with this person. I am 100% convinced the whole thing was in my head as like an enemy force punishing me and watching me the whole time. And when it was over, I knew that I had spun out and I knew that how I recovered right now would be key because there were a bunch of old patterns I could feel there ready to take me again. The ones where I would just punish myself and punish and move on, punish and get over it. But I know that there really is no such thing as leaving it behind or showing up better next time if you don't stop and work the story. So here's what I did to unstick this thing from my ribs. I'm going to read you what I wrote. I let myself write out the absolute worst version of what I feared had happened without trying to fix it. This story is called Failure Baby. And the story went like this. I am a naive, wannabe entrepreneur who's embarrassingly excited about life, has no actual idea what I'm talking about, and who's stupid to keep thinking I'll ever grow past this point. I'm talking to a far more established business badass who sees right through me and is disappointed and regretful that she agreed to spend this time. I want her to somehow see what she saw before, and so I cling and perform. This makes me feel sickened, desperate, ridiculous, young, sad, exhausted, stuck, helpless, pointless, and on the line. Yep, yep. And now this is twofold because you got to say it instead of stuff it. And then you've got to keep moving forward because lots of times we say it and stuff it and we get stuck there. Because next, what we do is I gently lead myself as honestly as I can about what else I do know is true, even though this is actually an even more vulnerable part than being upset and disappointed in myself. It's a more vulnerable part that we don't hardly ever really take the time to untangle and touch because it's vulnerable and bare. If I'm already feeling stupid, I think in my mind that why make myself feel even more stupid by going there? But in my experience, over and over again, when you do that in this way, the opposite is actually true. So I then write a story that I call See You Next Time. And in this story, I am a person in love with my work and the positive impact it has, who appreciates sharing connection and purpose with others all the way along its growth. I was talking to another person who's been on a journey like it and who is a kindred soul in loving, making an impact in others' lives. I want her to experience our time like the grain of salt that it is, as this connection grows naturally over time. And so, what I do is open and allow. This makes me feel embodied, grounded, gentle, loving, expansive, calm, confident, simple, capable, and free. So, as I did this, I shifted into this state of regulation and realignment, and my obsessing about what she had thought of me dissolved. And I realized that this was the state of being that I had wanted from the get-go. I also knew to my core that the independent sense of recovery that felt quite immediate had made a huge difference in how I'll be able to show up next time, whether it be with her or someone else. I hope that the thoughts that you create, the thoughts that you choose consciously, create the energy that you need in all the places that you wish to recover. Thanks for watching. See you next time.